So imagine this, you're part of that sports team that's been prepping all year, right? You guys have gone out there and you've practiced your hardest. You've worked in the off season. And now it's finally time for that national championship. And when you get there, your coach decides, you know what, today, we're just gonna put in third strings. We're just gonna take a break and we're just gonna, see what happens, hope for the best, right? And so after all of that hard work, it all comes out to nothing because you lose that final game. And so you worked your butt off, but because you didn't finish strong, it all means nothing. That's so similar to what it means in this business when you don't actually close someone. When you go all the way through the pipeline, but then when it comes to actually getting them started, you don't let it happen. You don't, follow through. And so it's really important to understand that this close is not to somebody, it's for somebody, right? We're doing this for people, not just to them. And so this is all about helping people make a decision, and this is a decision collecting business. It's not just about the exposures you do, it's not just about the follow-ups, it's about the close. It's about actually asking them if they're ready to get started. Because if you never ask, you'll never get an answer, right? And so this happens after every third-party exposure. After every full exposure with an upline, there should be a close. And if that person doesn't get closed, then all we're gonna do is follow up. And you guys all know that there's a video for that in another one of these playlists on the Elite Network training page. And so be excited when you're closing people, right? There's nothing not to be excited about. And above all else, you need the belief and the confidence to know what you're truly doing. When I first started this business, I remember sitting down and I remember hearing people like Kenny Rodriguez close people next to me, friends of mine, people that I cared about. He said, do you see any reason why not to get started? And they said, absolutely not. And then I would say, now I know that $500 is a lot of money and this and that and this and that. Are you sure you want to get started? And I would literally talk them out of it. And I've come to find that the only reason that I ever did that was because my belief level wasn't high enough. And now I have all the belief in the world. Every single person out there that truly understands what we have, they need this. And so it's my obligation to go out there and to close them and to get them started. And so there's 3 closing questions that you need to understand. You're gonna wanna ask them in this order every single time. After you've answered someone's questions during a 2-on-1, during an exposure, the next thing that you need to do is, number 1, ask them, does this concept make sense to you? Does this make sense to you? That's the first question that you need to ask someone. If it doesn't, answer the rest of their questions, right? Second question that you need to ask them, out of everything that you've seen and heard, what do you like best? What's your favorite part? And that's the second question. And whatever they say, agree with them and expand on that because it's obviously a reason that you got started also. And the last question is, do you see any reason why not to get started with this plan for success? And so after you've talked about, if the concept makes sense, after you've asked them what they like best, the next thing you want to ask is, knowing what you know, do you see any reason why not to get started with this plan for success? And if they say no, then you need to use this one simple phrase. Repeat after me. Pause this video and go back and repeat this phrase. Awesome. Let's get you started. Let's get your website set up and your membership purchased and plug you into the system. That's it. There's no more talking. There's no more, oh, that's great, man. I really, I'm excited for you to do this and this. No, it's awesome, man. Let's get you started. Let's get your website set up, your membership purchased, and get you in the system. And that's it. And then you ask them if they're in front of a computer or if they're going to use their phone. And we start walking them through that process right there. And so that is what you do when you close someone. Now, if they say, yes, I do see reasons why not to get started, the next thing that's going to come up is they're going to ask you about an objection that they have. They're going to give you some excuse or reason why they're not ready. And that's great because that means that they're thinking. And that's a good thing. We want to get people's questions answered every single time. And so the 4 most common objections that you will have, and you will have other ones sometimes, but these are most likely going to be it, is number 1, they don't understand it. And if someone doesn't understand this, you just need to answer more of their questions. You just need to help them come to that full understanding. And if the questions keep flowing, it's okay to ask them, if I answer this next question, will you be ready to get started? Okay? So that's the first objection, is they don't understand it. Number 2 is they don't believe it. If they don't believe it, all you need to do is tell them about a success story. Leverage the industry. The fact that this is a $200+ billion industry, if you're watching this at the beginning of 2017, this is a $200+ billion industry, and it's the second highest producer of millionaires in the world next to professional sports. So there's credibility here, obviously. And all that they need to do is look into the facts and see how real this industry truly is. Leverage more success stories, right? Let them hear other people's perspectives. For me, I spent 18 years of my life believing there was one way to make money. When I heard about this industry, everything changed for me. And it was real because I heard real people tell me real stories, and I met those real people in person, or I saw them over a FaceTime call. And so that's what made it real for me. The third objection that people will most commonly come up with is time, that they don't have the time for this. And so when someone says that they don't have the time for this, all you need to do is leverage a story of someone that does have the time. Explain to them time is the reason why you need to do this, because this doesn't take a lot of time. The whole point of something like Watabu is to give people more time and more money, because most people don't have those two commodities, right? And so when leveraging the time objection, all you need to simply say is a story of someone else, or let them know that you had the exact same problem, that time is not an issue because this fits into the cracks of your life. 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. I know for me, the first 3 months in this business, I built this maybe 30 minutes a day. 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, whatever I could do. Because all you can do is truly all you can do. The last objection, and the most common probably, is that they don't have the money. If someone doesn't have the money, it's all the more reason why they need to do this, so they can eventually have money, right? And so with the money objection, all you need to do is tell them a story, right? Tell them a story of someone else that didn't have the money. Usually it's gonna be you. I didn't have the money on day one, right? And then the next thing is ask them how much do they have, right? If they're getting started with a senior pack, and let's say right now they have $400, and they're gonna tell you a ridiculous story like it's gonna take them a month to come up with another 100, you can let them know at this point, great, there's a secondary way to get started, and that's with a junior pack. But guys, I would use that as a last resort, okay? So I would use that as a last resort, because you don't want to leverage, a junior pack when they have the opportunity to get started as a senior pack and get the full benefits of being a Watabu ambassador. And so give them ideas, help them set a goal, and then follow up from there. If they don't have the money, set a goal that's no longer than a week out. And that is so important to understand. Something that you should be saying, that I say all the time, that is 100% true, is that I've never heard anyone say the things that you just said to me and not find a way to get started in a week. Because people will tell you, oh, I don't have the money, but I could probably have it in 6 weeks. And I'm here to tell you that honestly, to this day, after talking to hundreds of people every single week, I've never seen anyone take any more than 7 days to find a way to get this going. I've seen people that have no money. I've talked to people who are cashing in cans while we're on the phone that haven't had $500 in 2 years, then go out there and find the money. Because if they truly want this, they will figure it out. And there's several different ways that you can talk to your upline about how to, handle this money objection. Whether it's talking to them about, if they could find the money in 12 hours if I pulled up with their dream car. Of course they could. And then you can let them know that you just put more value on a car than you did on a business that could eventually probably get you that car. Because where there's a will, there's a way. And so that's how you handle that money objection. All of these different objections, a common way to be able to help is the feel, felt, found strategy. Letting them know that you feel the same way, that you felt the same way, that you know how they feel, and that you found a way to change that, right? Feel, felt, found. Hey man, I know exactly how you feel because I felt the same way. What I found was that money wasn't truly a problem once I talked to this guy who also didn't have the money, who found a way to go out there and do it. So feel, felt, found is a strategy where you can relate to them. Just keep in mind, when someone asks you about an objection, you need to also ask them a question about it. When someone tells me, well, I'm really busy right now with school and I'm just not working a job and all of these different things, then I ask them about the objections that I think they have. So what you're telling me is the only 2 reasons you're not getting started is because you don't have the time and you don't have the money? If they say correct, I'm like, that's amazing, man. I'm so glad you have the same problems that I had. Time and money are usually people's issue. The whole point of this business is to give people more time and more money. So that is how you handle objections. And one last thing that you can do is the worst case scenario strategy. When someone tells me, that they don't have the money, that they don't have the time, and I handle those objections and they're still fighting me on it, sometimes what I'll do is I'll put an image in their mind. I'm like, well, let's think of this, man. What's the worst thing that could happen? What's the worst thing that could happen with this? You get started, and you get a 7-night vacation, right? And so worst case scenario, you hate the people, you don't want to be a part of Watabu. What do? You quit because it's your own business. And so what you do is you turn off your membership, you can take that 7-night vacation, you can block the people, and at the end of the day, you now have a 7-night vacation where you can use anywhere, and you learned a lesson. That's the worst case scenario. When you say, then they'll agree with you. And then I ask them, so what's the best thing that could happen? You get started, this changes your entire life. You can be around a culture of people that inspire you to be better every single day, and everything in your life changes. Wouldn't you agree that that's the best thing that could happen? And wouldn't you agree that the good outweighs the bad? And they will agree with you 100% of the time when you plant that image in their mind. So find a way to plant that vision, plant that image in their mind so they really truly understand the risk factor. Because in 2017, not taking a risk is the new risk. So after you've handled someone's objections, if they still have questions, if they still, aren't ready to get started, all you need to do is you need to set up a follow-up. Bam, bam, from a meeting, book a meeting. And you can listen to all of this in the follow-up video, right? And so you don't need to get them started right there if they're not going to get started. There's nothing that you can do. All you can do is always all you can do. Set up the next exposure. Leverage someone else's story and let them know that maybe hearing some different perspectives, some different stories, and getting a little bit more information would be what they need to make a decision. And then find a time in the next 24 hours for them to connect with someone else. Lastly, here are the action steps that you need to apply after watching this video. Number 1, write down how to close. Take notes on this. Look at the description below that explains exactly how to go out there and do it. And once you've written it down, practice it with yourself. Practice it with yourself in a mirror, practice it with someone else until you feel really good about it. And then lastly, call your upline and practice it with them. Try closing them and get any critiques necessary. So when you go out there and you start closing people, when you start doing 2-on-1s and closing people's prospects, so that you can be confident in how to do this. And that's the close.